Being a resident of Coventry all my life, I've never quite understood why people had this really bad perception of the city. So there may be an economic aspect that impacts Coventry, but where has this scummy label come from? There may be quite a few chavs hanging about, but this is not the type of folk that populate the entire city. Not to mention that every city has this diversity of class and economic. Another interesting aspect is that the city neighbours many of the boroughs considered picturesque, and most importantly that are desirable locations. There is an obvious stigma surrounding Coventry, often being labelled dreary, a hopeless place filled with poundlands and gregs for the scummy lower class, and the poor students that kindly loan their occupancies to the city, giving it some form of purpose, some form of life. The question I am keen to delve into is this due to the long-lost memories and associations with the torturous past? And if so, can Coventry ever escape this? Reflecting on the long-lost histories of Centre Coventry, I question, perhaps it is the conceptions of the city unveiled then that have constrained the city. Have they unconsciously forever been relived, impacting and predefining the city's current conception? The phrase Centre Coventry arose in the 17th century, stimulating the idea that the city is worthy of no more than holding criminals, a place so bad in its sheer nature that its occupancy alone is considered a punishment. Centre Coventry as a phrase has been used in varying contexts across history. Its origin is not confirmed. By far the most popular reference is where Oliver Cromwell sent many Scottish royalist prisoners to be imprisoned. It was said that the soldiers were completely ostracised, shunned by strongly parliamentary and Coventry folk, hence the phrase. It has been suggested that Coventry was a place used to carry out executions, a place of punishment and torture, although common conceptions of Coventrians and their understanding of Centre Coventry are very contrasting. The phrase is often associated with the motor industry and families from all over the world coming to Coventry for work, though this is clearly not where it originates from. How is it that the phrase can be used in such different contexts and be given alternative meanings? Baudrillard's theory of hyperreality can here offer an explanation. He suggests where a sign, or in this case phrase, loses its relation to reality, it then begins to simulate a simulacrum. Centre Coventry becomes a simulacrum in that representations continuously replace what is actually being represented. The reproduced conceptions of the phrase event replace and become more real than the authentic. While it seems the phrase has been used and reworked several times throughout history, the interesting factor though is it has always been associated with negative connotations. This suggests the legacy of the phrase has been remembered, but how it actually came about has not. Here we can apply Roland Barthes' mythologies. He suggests the concept of language robbery. All the underlying concept needs to do to reinvent itself is to choose another signifier. He argues myth impoverishes history, that it masks and destroys true meaning. He also claims bourgeois ideology can be spread over everything, and in doing so, lose its name without risk. This could be applied to Centre Coventry in that the bourgeois produced this conception, iconography, without creating controversy. Baudrillard sums that myth robs images of history in order to make them perpetrate the dominant bourgeois culture. History can be recreated through false memory to favour those in power. In contrast to this power dynamic, I draw on Certeau and his theory of strategy and tactics. He suggests the technical definition of the city as a strategy, because relevant planning authorities define its limits. But the actual experience of the city is defined by users. History is created by walkers at street level. The usage of the cities make up the whole. Applying this to Centre Coventry, Certeau's notion would suggest walkers uphold the representation of the city through actions and strategic movements. When reflecting on the controversial Centre Coventry's history, we have to consider city expansion. As the city expands and the experiences born within it begin to vary greater. What is the city? What is not? Where does this negative conception apply to? Is it just the CBD, or does it include the surrounding villages, my home? Well, according to Certeau, it's walkers that make the distinction. Strategies would suggest I live in Coventry, the shithole, but my tactics suggest I am in the countryside, in an affluent area. Once I hit the industrial sites, I'm in the city. Is Coventry forever doomed to failure because of this historically diagnosed perception? Perhaps, but realistically this negative conception is merely a social construction. Regardless of whether this is based upon the historic influence of Centre Coventry or not, it is not a true evaluation of what Coventry is like. Coventry may well have been voted fourth worst town or city in the UK, but this survey clearly failed to recognise any of the positive facts released this year. Coventry is the fourth safest city in the UK and was recently voted the best place for 18 to 30-year-olds. It has 2 universities within its radius, among a range of new government-funded campaigns to support young people in education, work and in buying homes. To me, these characteristics indefinitely don't suggest a city of dullness, the armpit of Britain.